Hi, I'm Cody.
And I'm Charlie.
And this week's episode of WX4 features
Chris Padgett, who is a real life loser. Welcome, Chris, to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. We're going to go straight into the question draw.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Questions. Get you a good one,
Yeah, no, that's not it. There it is.
Okay, that's it. That's a good one.
What was the name of your first band project? That's actually a good one. I'm old, contrary to maybe the appearance. I'm 35, so I'm a Simpsons fan. Big, so we all are, right? And you remember the character Gil, the down and out salesman that could never catch a break. My first college band, we called it Old Gil because he would refer to himself in the third person and be like, "Old Gil needs a break today," or whatever. And
Yeah.
we only could play shows for our friends because we were just god awful, so we decided to call it Old Gil because we could never catch a break.
When was that?
So I went to school at Indiana University.
Really?
Yeah, I am a Hoosier, and went there from 2001 to 2005, and that's when I formed that band. It's like around 02, 03, around when things were still kind of like getting out of the haze and fog of the 90s, so a jam band naturally. So it was like the come up from all that, so we had a good time. We actually ended up getting some good players in there towards the end. It was pretty good.
After the Hoosiers, what happened then?
The Hoosiers.
Yeah, so that was our
He's
mascot.
a Hoosier.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I gotcha.
Indiana Hoosier.
Sorry, oblivious.
It's cool, man. It's funny being from Indiana. That was like, if you didn't know what a Hoosier was, it was like head scratcher. But I guess if you're not from there, it's probably not that relevant.
Well, it's because he's too young, but there was the movie Hoosiers.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So,
with Waylon,
again, it's a
Waylon
basketball
Hackman.
movie.
Yeah, it's an awesome basketball movie. So yeah, I graduated in 05 and then moved to Asheville, North Carolina,
Nice.
which was really cool. And there's where I kind of was at a crossroads. Got my degree. Was I going to go on do more school, or was I going to try and pursue music? And I'd met my partner at the time, and we decided to choose music. So moved to Asheville. Took about a year of just sort of like self-discovery, learning, because I'm all self-taught as a musician, but she was a performance major at IU, which again, not a lot of people know, but IU is a very renowned music school. So I was taking a lot of her old materials and stuff and teaching myself some of the theory behind what I was hearing and feeling, trying to blend the head and the heart and become a better player. And then,
That's a good little phrase, combining the head and the heart.
yeah, because I feel like, I've worked with classical musicians and I've worked with field musicians, and when you're too polarized, I feel like, you're missing out on some things. You shouldn't always be vanilla in the middle, but you should kind of have an idea of what both feel like.
Exactly.
So we started working together, and we formed a band called the Stereofidelics, and took us about a year to really get off the ground, but by being a two-piece, we were able to actually make a little bit of money.
Can they find any of that music online?
It's still out there. It's still floating around. We did quite a bit of touring, quite a bit of recording. We're on Spotify. I think the website's down, but Facebook, Twitter.
So when did you come to Athens?
So directly after that, I was fortunate with music so a bank actually gave me money, and I bought a house for a couple of years in Asheville. It was great, and was doing well. And then I sold that, took the proceeds from that, and just uprooted and moved down here around November of 2013. 14, excuse me, so a year after we'd hung it up. And then right when I got down here, I got into another project. At the time, it was Ren, simply Ren. She was like kind of a pop artist. That was her stage name. And helped co-found that and do the first couple albums. We did our first studio album we did right here in Athens at David Barbie's studio up there. And that was super cool. We spent quite a bit of time because we both had grand designs for what we wanted. She's a big Beatles fan and all this sort of stuff. So we had like string section, horn section, all this stuff that we were incorporating in. So like I don't think they were expecting, when we went to David, being like, hey, here's Ren, she's never done this before. We want to record at your studio. I imagine he just thought it might be a girl and her guitar showing up for like 2 days. We rocked that place for a month.
Nice.
We were literally there for it. We kept going back. We
You had money for that?
David
well, I was
that.
just gonna say we paid his mortgage for a couple months. I listen back to that album occasionally because it has my fingerprints all over it. It was all her material except for one song that I did write for the album. But I like to listen back to it just to see like, totally now removed and objective, like for being her first experience in a studio, for being a lot of those kids' first experience in a studio, it actually turned out pretty good. And again, I think that was having the ability.
Was David heavily involved, or was he just engineering?
He kind of came in and was more of like a consultant. We used Henry Barbie, his son.
Okay.
Was
Yeah.
like and it was kind of cool because it was one of his first big projects, if I understand correctly. Because this was back in 2014. So
Okay, yeah, because I recorded there in 2006, and his sons were still
his son
little.
was probably still in middle school or,
Yeah.
or elementary at the time. Yeah, Henry was I don't think old enough to like share the drinks that we
He's
were
around my
bringing,
age.
Yeah, now, so like at the time it was a lot for him to take on, but I think he did a good job, and he was very patient.
So when did you pursue songwriting? When did that start?
That was actually kind of an afterthought. I always was moved by other people's compositions, the way they made me feel, and then like a lot of people, then doing your own arrangement, not even arranging, but just taking a song and then reproducing it the way I felt it, and so like I always was more interested in like other people's stuff, and then maybe applying some of like my, again, feeling and like also thoughts about it now, kind of understanding songwriting and theory behind music. And songwriting just sort of came as, like I say, kind of a second fiddle, but I went through I don't want to use the word prolific, but was writing a lot during the like beginning to middle part of Stereo Fidelics, because we were an all original band. Right. We didn't want to be a cover band or any of that. We wanted to play our own stuff, so by necessity I had to start writing. So wrote about 4 albums worth of material. I would write all the music and lyrics, and then my partner, she was again more of like the technical side of things. She was a great violinist, a good drummer, and she would kind of help with some of the just making it sound sweet, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say fairly recently. I'm still kind of new to this thing in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, well, man, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about what is it? Trixie Two Step. I want to keep saying Two Step. Trixie.
Right. No, Trixie Two Step is it's an original composition written in the style of American primitivism guitar, which if you don't know what that is, I'm not surprised, but check it out. It's a kind of cool instrumental guitar style, very niche, but yeah,
you do it well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys, man. This is great.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, up next is his performance of Trixie Two Step. Next week, same place, same time.